Hello and welcome to the very basic editing tutorial in Adobe Audition. If you haven't yet, make sure to download Adobe Audition. You can find it in your Creative Cloud. It does come with your tuition. It is free, so make sure to download it because you will need it for next week's class. And for this hybrid, you will need to watch this tutorial, follow along, and practice using this audio editing software. If you've never used this before, it is amazing. I love it. We do all of our producing using Adobe Audition, and it might look a little bit intimidating at first, but you will catch on very quickly. So this tutorial, we are going to be going over the very basics of audio editing, and as the course rolls along, we will start introducing you to a little bit more that this program has to offer, but for now, we'll stick with the basics. So when you open up Adobe Audition, you will see it's very blank. It's ready to start using. My setup might be a little bit different than yours. This is called a workspace. So I have a customized one that I've made. But if you click on this right here, if you click on this one right here, there are different workspaces that you can use. So the classic I would recommend starting with. And then once you become more familiar with this program, you can start to customize and create a workspace that you enjoy. So again, I just clicked on these arrows right here and classic. See, as you click through, there are a lot of items that we won't be using, but there are different options. So advanced mixing, but classic is what I would suggest you use. Okay, so set up your workspace and you're ready to go. So first thing we're going to do is open up a track to start recording on. So File, New, and as you can see, there's two options here. Adobe Audition we will be using for two different types of editing. We will be using editing in the edit view, the waveform, also multi-track session. So multi-track is when we'll start to use more than one track. So when we start to use music beds or sound effects or more than one piece of audio. And then the audio file is just editing one audio. So the multi-track session, that's when you use and edit a bunch of different audio all together, but the audio file is just one. You also record using the audio file. So we're going to click New, Audio File right here. So when it opens up, it gives you a couple of options. You can name it, and I would suggest naming it something that you will remember so that when you're eventually using this view and you have a bunch of different audio files open, you know exactly which one is which. So for this example, I'm just going to use Jessica Test. The sample rate is a preset, 44-100, we won't change that. Channel stereo, this means it is recording on two different channels. It's recording on the left channel and the right channel. You can think of this as different speakers, the left speaker and the right speaker. The other option to record in is mono, and that's when you record all of your audio on one channel. So I prefer to record in stereo. So again, keep it as the preset, 32-bit, okay? So it opens up here, and as I said, the left channel is right here, and then the right channel. So this is set up and ready to go and ready for you to record. Down here in our transport option, there are just a couple of items that we will be using often. Of course, the play button, the record button, is the big red circle. The play button is here, the stop button, the pause, and then the skip ahead. But for now, we are going to record our audio. So hopefully your computer has a microphone in it and you can record your audio. So you simply press record, and as you can see, it is starting to record my voice. You can see the waves pop up. It's not great quality because I am using a laptop. Once you go into a studio, like the CKDJ studio, which we will be visiting later on this course, this semester, that's when you will actually start to see some good audio. But for practice, it's okay to just use our laptop. So it's recording everything I'm saying. As I talk louder, you see it get a lot louder. So when you are actually usually recording, you want it to be recording around here. But again, because of our microphone and our computers, we can't usually get to that. If your computer is recording very loud, that's not great either. My rule of thumb is your audio can visit the red, it just can't live in it. And you will understand that a little bit more once we start getting into more audio editing. But for now, we just make use of what we have. We're just recording with our computer microphone. So I have some audio here. So you can see it's counting it as well. So we're going to go ahead and stop it. So we can either use the stop option here or the space bar. The space bar on your computer is used for a lot. It's used for recording, stopping, and playback. So we're going to go ahead and stop right here. A good idea is to actually let the audio run out before you finish recording, so just so it can catch up. All right, so I have 1 minute and 48 seconds of audio. None of this is useful, but if you were recording something for class or for a different course, obviously you would record what you need and then remove what you do not need. And that's what I will show you how to do now. So that was some very basic recording in Adobe Audition. You can click around. As you can see, you can click anywhere on your track and play back. So I'm going to go right from the beginning. You can use the play option, the play button, or the space bar. You simply press record, and as you can see, it is starting to record my voice. All right, so you can click through and listen to wherever you want. The semester. That's when you not great either. My rule of thumb is all right. Go ahead and stop it. So that's basic playback. Now the fun part when we want to start to edit our audio. When you click somewhere, you can drag and highlight. Okay, and once you have something highlighted, you can remove it. You can also listen to it before you remove it with the spacebar. For practice, it's okay to just use our laptop. Okay, now this would make a lot more sense if you knew exactly what you had to remove, but for this tutorial, we're just doing basic editing, basic, removal of audio. So it doesn't really matter what you remove for this. So just click around. Listen to it for practice. Okay, yep, this is what I want to remove. Delete. And if you accidentally delete the wrong thing, Control Z brings you back, of course. Okay, so you can find the pieces that you want to delete. You can see down here exactly how much you've actually highlighted. It counts with you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this. But for now, we just make use of what we have. All right, so I'm going to delete it. Let's delete something over here. So I just click through and delete. Whatever you want. Whatever makes sense to you right now. This up here is a zoom bar. I'm using the mouse on my laptop. I would recommend, actually I will highly encourage that you get a mouse because it makes editing a whole lot easier. So we can zoom in, get nice and close. We can move it around, find the spot that we want to delete. This is going to be very useful because sometimes you have to get real close for a nice tight edit. Okay, so you can find what you need to remove, highlight, delete, and then you can unzoom, and it's all there. Because this is my laptop audio, like I said, it's not great quality. But when you do start to use a studio, or if you have a portable microphone that you want to try, or even your Tascam or any kind of voice recorder, it's probably better quality than a laptop. But you can see along the sides here, this is exactly how you tell how loud something is. And you want your audio to usually average around -3 to -6. So you can see the 3 here. We will get into a lot of audio editing as the course rolls along, but I am going to quickly introduce it to you just in case you want to play around with it before we start getting into the program. And remember, the more you practice, the better you will be. So up here is the effects. There's a pile of EQ that you can do. You can add echoes, you can add reverb, you can make yourself sound like a there we go, like a chipmunk. There's options here. These are probably the best beginning effects that you want to play around with. So when you find those in effects, time and pitch, stretch and pitch. This one's fun, the helium. You can try that. So you can click it, apply, and play back.
When you are actually usually recording, you want it to be recorded.
See? And if it's not something that you like, you've added the wrong effect, Control Z brings you back. Usually recording, Alright, so play around with the effects, see which ones you like. Some of them are a lot of fun. This right here is also going to be your best friend when it comes to editing audio. It's called a HUD, heads up display. It's just a real quick way to adjust your volume, to adjust the amplitude. You can do it for the entire track, but you have to be careful because now these ones, as I talk louder, too loud. See, it's hitting into the red. So when I Control Z. Or you can actually pick certain pieces that you want to increase. So again, it's called the heads up display. So that is very basic editing in edit view, in the waveform view. So record yourself a few times, edit yourself a few times, add some effects if you wish. The more you practice, the quicker you'll get the quicker you'll finish your assignments. The one that we have next week, you will be using this a lot. You will be using the zoom a lot, the highlighting, the deleting, and it's going to be fun. So I do want to quickly introduce you to the multi-track. As I mentioned, this is what you will be using to edit more than one audio piece together. This is where the fun begins. So you can either click on the option here, multi-track, or you can click File, New, Multi-track Session. You can call it whatever you like. Right now it's just saving into a temporary folder. You can change it into a different folder, but I usually just save it into a temporary folder because I do a hard save at the end of my editing. Everything else you can keep the same, 44-100, 32-bit, in stereo. Okay. So this is going to open up with an endless amount of tracks. You can add even more if you want more than 6. And to use this, you simply click on the audio file that you want added, and you can move it in. You can move it into whatever track you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here. You can go ahead and right click, move it to wherever you want. And then if you had music and if you had sound effects, you can move them as well. So let's pretend that this is also music. You can add the music here, wherever you want it. You can move it around. And then this is going to play over top. So you can either use the play option here, or you can use the space bar. Record. And as you can see, it is starting to record my voice. Press record. And as the waves pop up, it is starting to record. Okay, so they're both playing at the same time. So once you start to add music and sound effects, it's lots of fun. Alright, so you just click, move it around. You can right click, move it around. Just copy here. So this is a nice way to, if you wanted to use your same track more than once, you can copy it and move it around. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. I only want it once. There's different mouse options here. Make sure that this one is clicked. It makes editing a whole lot easier. Okay? So when you have what you want with your multi-track, you can save it. And again, we're going to get into multi-track a whole lot more. I'm just giving you a very, very quick introduction to it. So when you save a multi-track, it's a little bit different. Whereas we don't save as, we export. We export our session. Reason being is if you pulled in music beds and sound effects from your desktop and you saved as, it is going to save over the original copy. Whereas if you export your session, what happens is it creates a folder wherever you want it to be, and it actually copies all of the pieces that you've used in the session into a brand new folder. So it's making copies, and then when you want to open it again, it's all there. Your original has not been affected, and everything's all in one place. So you export your session. This is where you browse to where you want it saved. You make sure to title it. It's saving as a session format. And the one thing that you will have to make sure you do for the first time you save a session is click Save Copies of Associated Files. For some reason, as soon as you start to use Adobe Audition, this isn't actually clicked. So make sure that this is clicked, and this is going to save all of the files into the folder that you create. And you press OK, and it's all going to be there for the next time that you open it. So again, don't worry too much about multi-track. We will be getting into it a little bit more. Really pay attention to the edit view. You can either double click to get back to it, or you can get back to it over here. Okay? So the highlighting and the deleting and the close edits are really what you want to start practicing. But record yourself a few times, record your friends, record your pets, and try and make some good audio, because we will be using this program, Adobe Audition, in the majority of our classes this year. And I can't stress this enough. The more you practice, the quicker everything's going to be, and the more success you will find in audio storytelling. The last thing that I will note is when you are editing in multi-track view, everything that you do here, all of the edits, it is not permanent. So if you deleted a few things, you can go back to the edit view and it's all going to be there. When you're in edit view and you delete something, it is permanent, and it's telling me that something is open in multi-track. The action is going to change what's in the multi-track, which is okay. So this is permanent. Of course, you can press Ctrl-Z to bring it back, but once you add any effects, the original audio is no longer there, which is fine. You won't really have a problem with that. So multi-track, not permanent. Edit view is permanent. So play around with edit view. Practice, 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 and you will love this program in no time. It's called Adobe Audition, and good luck.